All right, and then
Awesome.
I'm gonna admit.
Yay. Here we go. Heart Wisdom panel. Hey, welcome. Hi, everyone. Oh, it's so good to see you. Linda, Sophia, Kim. Hi, hi, hi. Welcome. I am so glad that we're here with the latest Heart Wisdom panel. And today we are talking about why we love goals. And I love that this was Deb, I love that. Deb was on. So let's talk about why we love goals because it's Valentine's Day, and I thought that was beautiful. And so our featured authors today we have Debra Eckerling and Risa Williams, and we're very lucky to have co-founder of Books That Save Lives with us, Brenda Knight. Hi, Brenda. And just before we start, I'll just say welcome again. And we are doing the Heart Wisdom panels every other Wednesday. And it's so great to have you guys here. We are talking about why we love goals. And I was thinking one thing that I particularly love about Risa and Deborah both is that they bring such compassion. We're not going to get that like, get with it, people, and I think these are times when we really need some kindness mixed in with our goal setting and some real sort of like, hey, how do we set goals in a way that really supports the lives that we want to live? And so just to say, I know that these are, we've been saying this for so many years now, Brenda and I. We started these Heart Wisdom panels with like, wow, these are challenging times during the pandemic. And hasn't really quite ever let up from that. So I think this is going to be a fantastic conversation. And to start with, I'm going to have Deborah. I'm going to have you introduce yourself first. And I want you, when you have your introduction, to also, if you would, just let us know in your own life, what does a healthy goal look like?
Okay. Wow. Throw a really tough question at me to start. Actually, I'm going to go backwards because
Okay.
I believe goals are magic. I believe goals are the solution to everything that's wrong in the world.
Woo.
Because when you set goals, when you're working toward the future, you have a hope. And that a hope makes everything better. So you can be living your lives and you've got all this trauma and drama and things that you have absolutely no control over. But if you've got even one thing that makes you happy, one goal that you are working toward, something like in your pocket that you can go to whenever you need like that extra glimmer, that will make all the difference not only in your world, but in the lives of the people around you.
Okay, before you go on, I know you have more to say, but that was beautiful. I love that. And I love that what you're saying about like even if we just have one goal that feels like hope to us, that feels like the future that we want to step into, I think that's what people really need. And so please go on.
Oh, well, I call it a giggle project because we all have these things that it's like when you get a book deal, but before you can tell anybody, it's like every time you think about it, you just get this burst of energy. But it works with like anything that you're brewing that makes you giggle or smile. That's the best way to describe that kind of magic. So I just figure, so anybody, whether you're with us live or you're watching the replay, I just I challenge you, and it shouldn't be that big of a challenge. What is one thing, one goal that you're working toward that you can help but smile every single time you think about it? And that, see, literally, this magic potion. You've got a client you don't like that you're about to meet with. Well, spend a minute thinking about your good project, and you're going to have a way better attitude going into that meeting.
I love
I
that.
love it.
Hey, by the way, I
Yeah.
forgot to say the name of your newest book.
Oh, I didn't even introduce myself. So you're ahead of me.
52, I love this. 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting. I love it. I love the cover. Even the cover's kind of like happy Valentine's, isn't it?
Uh, you know, well, and yes, I love the red, and I remember Brenda when we were picking out the covers. I love the vibrance of the red. Red is power, and I so I say my favorite practical color is blue, But my favorite, in practical color is orange. So anything, and Leo, anything that's bright, that's vibrant, I love. So yes, I am the author of books on goals, including 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting. I host 3.5 podcasts, including Goal Chat, which every week I bring together 3 guests to chime in on the topic of the week. And I am also a book proposal specialist, thebookproposalexpert.com. I help experts, thought leaders distill their story, their expertise into a book proposal that gets attention from agents and publishers. So I am all about the goals and the book goals and sharing the goal love.
And you are just as vibrant as that red cover. So I love that.
Thank you.
Now, for yourself in your own life, what's a healthy kind of goal?
A healthy kind of goal?
Yeah, is it the
Like,
kind
what
of
do you mean?
well, a goal that feels, I think sometimes people have goals that are oppressive, that can exhaust them, that feel,
Oh, all of my goals are happy.
oh,
I mean, literally, I am
I
so
love that.
blessed that I've got a business I love. I get to talk about goals. I get to talk about books. I do webinars, coaching. I do all of the things. So all of my goals are just it's so I'm the creator of the Deb Method for Goal Setting Simplified. My first book, Your Goal Guide, which is why I met Brenda, which I love. But goals are all about, so Deb stands for determine your mission, explore your options, brainstorm your path. In that D, the determine your mission, when you think about that life you want, what does it look like? And is everything in my life perfect? No. But do I have control over creating the life and career I want as much as anyone can? So, you do need that, and it's not just balance. One of my people in 52 Secrets said you don't want to seek balance, you want to seek harmony. Elena Hall, who's amazing, who I just interviewed for one of my other podcasts. But it's all about doing at least a little, your life isn't always going to be balanced, but if you could do most of the things that give you energy, so you could do more of the things
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
to that goal, that life that you want. So I
I love
completely
that.
cheated, but a healthy goal is working toward the future you want.
I love that, Deb. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And Risa, whose book is Get Stuff Done Without the Stress. I love that right there in the title. Risa, yeah, so tell us about your work and in your own life, what you consider a healthy goal.
Sure. Well, first of all, it's such a delight to hear Deb talk about goals. I know we met on the goal path ourselves about a year ago because our books came out like one day apart. And my book also, like hers, has a check mark on it. Oh, you can't see it, but there you
Oh
go.
yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and it's yellow and happy as well. I'm a therapist and book author here in Los Angeles. I work with people on goal setting, both in therapy and in time management coaching sessions. So I have clients from all walks of life, lots of creatives, lots of people in tech, lots of healthcare professionals working on all sorts of different types of goals. I've been doing it for years now. I love helping people work on goals because, like Deb said, it's all about hope. And I think a lot of times we're stuck in the past or like a nightmarish vision of what we think is the future. And we bounce around in our imaginations in kind of an unhealthy way where we ruminate on made up things. So I think having goals that feel easy, attainable, and are walking us over to a place we want to go in reality is a way to both ground us in the now, but also get us using our imagination in a more flexible, creative, helpful way where we're envisioning where we actually want to go. So, one way I think about like healthy goals is sometimes I'll just ask clients, where do you see yourselves in 1 year's time where things are easier for you, where things feel a little easier? And sometimes even that question, you'd be surprised, people just break down in tears, or they say things like, you know what? I haven't had a minute to even think about that. I don't even know what easy looks like. I don't even know what that word looks like. I'm just so caught up in the stress of my life now that feels like a hamster wheel. I haven't even taken a second to
Wow.
practice using my imagination in that way. So for me, a lot about goals is learning to like befriend ourselves and befriend our own imagination to harness our focus and energy in a healthier, happier way that actually gets us to the feeling place we want to experience and not just the thing we think is going to give us that feeling.
Oh, Risa, that was both of you. This was so beautiful. I really, really love you used the word imagination a couple times. And I think, especially again, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and a lot of us are using our imaginations to think of like worst possible scenarios and terrible things. And what you're pointing to, I think, is so beautiful, which is like using that. I saw it as like the imagination as a fuel, really,
Yeah.
toward ourselves. And I really love that. And I know both Risa and Deborah are going to be sharing a little bit from their books, probably in just a few minutes. But I wanted to turn to Brenda for a minute, who is the co-founder of Books That Save Lives. And Duncan is also here, the other co-founder. Um, Brenda, I want to know, you are one of the most accomplished women that you know it. You are someone who gets stuff done. And I'm curious, I know you probably weren't expecting this, but how does this work in your own life when we're talking about self-compassion and kindness and healthy goals?
Well, I've been listening like with great fascination to everyone, including you, about the whole topic and ruminating on it. And I'll do what Deb did and sort of go backwards a moment. And I was thinking like, because I'm a big to-do lister. Everyone that knows me, I guess Duncan would know the longest, after decades, that like I like a to-do list. And sometimes it's on the back of like an envelope or something. But I was thinking, where did I become such a list making person? And one of the reasons I love lists is like when you check something off, like there really is like a little thrill. There's like a little endorphin kick. There honestly is. And I realized that how I became so listful is that when I was first at HarperCollins, they did this whole like Franklin Covey course. I know it's really funny because later at Mango, like I got to work directly with the Franklin Covey people, but they gifted us Franklin planners and they gave us a course on how to really use it. And I became like a devotee. I walked around with my Franklin planner like it was a fashion accessory. But that one involves not just your goals, but your values, like your personal values and like who you are. And it sort of encourages you to dig deeper inside. So part of the planning and the goal setting is working in like time for inner work and self-care. Of course, in the 90s, I don't think the words self-care even existed except for therapists or, shrinks or something. But anyway, so I think that I was lucky and, it was just serendipitous that that was how my discipline or my entry level on like goal setting and list making. And it involved values. There was an interesting coincidence, coinky-dink, that happened like 10 years later when I worked at a different publisher, Redwood Weiser, like Franklin, and I didn't know anyone from like Franklin Covey, didn't know anyone, was just a fan and a user of the planner. Somehow they came to me personally and asked me to develop a Franklin planner for women.
Oh,
and I did, but I could not get over the fact that it was almost too much for me to even handle, like the fact that I was getting to create one, and it was called Her Point of View, and it was like it was specifically for women, and I built in tons of self-care into that one. I like really went to town on the self-care and like self-esteem and self-love. It might even have been like, I think I even worked some affirmations in there. So I have to give credit to them because it was the values-based goal setting and list making, values-based goal setting and list making.
Brenda, the other coincidence is just last weekend, I found from the 1990s, I was a huge fan of the Franklin Covey. And remember how they had us write a personal mission statement?
Yes.
And I think that sort of led into the values and things, but I just found some of those mission statements from the 1990s and it's like such a treasure trove of like who I used to be. I love that. And already I love the way that our conversation is taking shape, right? Around imagination and values and, joy and what gives you energy. I mean, it's already leaning in places where, I know a lot of times when I've been taught goals, there's more of this like, it's like discipline and I know discipline is a part of it, but I love that we're bringing in some of these other things that give us energy. So maybe this would be a good time. Risa, I know you brought something to read, and I think it'd be fun to hear your voice from the book.
Sure, I'm happy to share. This is from the beginning of the book, and it sort of goes back to the premise, which is I'm trying to get people away from the idea of toxic productivity and what you're talking about, that really disciplinary and harsh hustle culture where everything is based on output, as though we are robots who are designed to just create output nonstop and never give ourselves a break, and move more into a self-kindness mindset where we really look at ourselves and what we're doing through the lens of kindness. So I'll read a little and then you can tell me what you think. So sometimes our modern hustle culture can make us feel like we need to constantly push ourselves into a manic productivity mode in order to just keep up with what we think everyone else is doing. And along the way, it can be easy to lose track of our general well-being and what's really important to us in life. We can start to feel, as one client put it, like we're running on a nonstop hamster wheel of stress. As a therapist, I tend to see things from a different perspective. I look at goal setting from a feelings place instead of a things place. In the grand scheme of things, we usually want to accomplish our goals because of the feelings we want to feel as a result of achieving them. In other words, it's not so much about getting to the thing as it is about getting to the feeling we think the thing will provide us with. Think about this right now. Most of us are able to picture ourselves getting to our goals, but we can't often picture what we will feel after we get there. For example, perhaps you picture yourself completing a big goal like winning an award, buying a house, starting a business, taking a trip, or moving to a new city. You may see yourself in your goal picture, but most likely it isn't colored in with any emotions. It's just a picture of you doing a thing. You're holding a trophy or a pair of keys or standing somewhere like on the top of a mountain. It's just a picture without any feelings attached. So let's color in your goal picture right now with some really bright and vibrant feelings. What do you want to feel after you accomplish your goal? Happy, proud, excited, delighted, joyful, relieved, grateful? Choose one of these feelings to focus on and try to feel it for a minute right now. So I'd ask everyone listening out there, I want you to really think about that goal you are trying to attain. And I want you to picture it like a snapshot of you standing there in the goal. Maybe you've just completed that certificate program or you've just finished writing your next book. What do you want to feel? And then can you let yourself feel that feeling right now? So can we connect with it in our imaginations and feel a little blip of it? Because it's my philosophy that we need to practice the feelings we want to feel and not put it off until we experience the thing or accomplish the milestone, right? Those big milestones may only happen once or twice a year. We need to practice these feelings on an everyday basis. So it's about changing your idea of productivity and goals and allowing yourself to feel really good every day for each little tiny win, each little tiny step, and connect emotionally with those feelings. I mean, can anyone out there relate to that? Like you accomplish a big thing and then you don't feel the feeling that you thought you were going to feel? There's just this feeling of like, what's next? What's next? What's next? Oh, I did that. What's next? Oh, I should have done that years ago. Oh, what's next? Well, Sherry, you're nodding, so maybe this is resonating with you.
Well, I was nodding because I was actually also, I know exactly what you mean. And thankfully, my company Simply Celebrate. So I've been practicing for quite a while, trying to make sure that I feel the feelings and celebrate along the way.
Yeah, so you get it.
But
Yeah.
I was nodding because I agree. And I was also nodding because when you said, does anybody, I was thinking, oh, maybe somebody wants to share if they actually had the experience that you're talking about of being able to feel that end goal. Anybody who's here want to speak to that?
Well, I'll speak to a part of that while people are
Yeah, come on
thinking
in.
about it. I feel like one of the best feelings of the world is accomplishment, invigoration, and exhaustion. Because
Mhm.
that's really
Wow.
when you hit those big goals, that's how it feels. It's like I did it, I'm awesome. Man, am I tired. But those three feelings together, is tired a feeling? Yeah, okay, we're gonna call it one. Those
Sure.
three feelings
Yeah.
together, because when you're talking about the big goals, that's what it takes.
Uh-huh.
It takes the drive. So that's why, in agreeing, obviously, I agree with everything everybody is saying today. It's great, and I also believe you need to celebrate all of the things, but it's so important to have like one big thing that you're working toward at all times, like one important for your future long-term goal, because that's, my goodness, when you reach those, amazing.
Mm. A lot of the clients I work with, they're like high achieving clients who are doing these big things, like
Mm-hmm.
really impressive things. And sometimes what I notice is they don't let themselves feel the feelings when they get there. There's almost this dismissiveness of like, oh yeah, you know? And I like what Deb's saying because that's what I'm trying to get people to feel. I'm trying to work with them to get them to what Deb feels, like that feeling of elation, that feeling of even relief. That can be what we're going for sometimes you're working on goals, like let's say you have a big report due for work. It's never going to give you that kind of buzz or satisfaction, but you've been working on it all year and your boss is asking you when it's due or whatever, and we got to get through this goal. Well, then sometimes I coach clients, maybe the feeling we're going for is relief. So let's picture that feeling. Let's walk you forward past you turned in the report. It's 2 days later. We have to go a little bit past when you get to that point, and then think, how do you want to feel the day after? Do you feel relief? Can we sit here and imagine what you'll be doing in everyday life? You'll be going throughout your day, but you're feeling like, I'm so relieved now. I don't have to think about that report that's been weighing me down for 6 months. And that can be the way we train our brain to get there. So, in other words, finding the emotional place you want to get to and naming it is like GPS for your brain. It's like putting in the destination, and your brain can then drive you there because it needs to latch on to any kind of future feeling of reward, relief, happiness, joy, any of those things. It can like turbo boost your motivation suddenly to get there and take all those little steps to finish it. Just picturing yourself feeling that feeling, and practicing it every day, whether that's an image. Sometimes I'll say, well, what are you going to do when you feel relief? Well, are you going to drive to the beach and sit there and think, I did it?
Yeah.
I did that report. That was me. I want you to hold that image in your head and picture yourself. I'm sitting on the beach. I'm feeling relieved. And sometimes I even have clients print out a little picture and put it above their wall. And so when they're feeling stuck, I don't want to write this report, I've got no energy, no motivation. Look at the picture of you sitting on the beach, feeling relieved, feeling what you want to feel. And whether you go to the actual beach or not, your brain will somehow pave the path to get to the emotional place you're trying to go in that way, if we're clear about it.
Oh, Risa, that's fantastic. I love all of that. And I'll add some steps in there too that I work with my own clients, which is really also celebrating the steps along the way.
Yeah,
Right?
practicing.
Right,
Yeah.
practicing, and also like in order to make sure, I mean, in my mind, it's not, I think it was you, Risa, who said, it's not all about just the outcome, although that's important,
Mhm.
but there's our life along the way. And are we
Exactly.
celebrating, like, how good does it feel to start a new goal? How good does it feel when we're halfway through? Good does it feel when we hit some of those big milestones? And really, what can we do, even if it's just raising a glass at dinner to say, hey, today I finished chapter 1 of the book I'm working on. Like to keep it. Deborah, what are you doing over there? I see
No,
Dan.
I'm like cheering in my head because that's what we need to be doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
need to, in similar to what Risa's saying, again, the D and the Deb method, determine your mission, start with the life you want, and then put up a picture that
Yes.
represents the life you want, because that is the best way to keep your eye on the prize.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Well, I know, Deb, we were talking about your book too. So, and I mentioned at the beginning, like, I love this that these two authors are talking about goals, but you're approaching it, you've got a lot of similarities in philosophy, but a lot of differences in the way that you've approached it. And particularly, Deb, your new book with the 52 secrets.
Of
Um,
which there are 60, but okay.
It's bonus material.
Well, that's exactly it. Each chapter has a bonus, and then Guy Kawasaki wrote the last one. But yes, I'm
well,
sorry. Go on. I
no,
interrupted your praise for my book.
I
Please
know, and
continue.
and what I love is that, you can read both these books and get so many different kinds of things out of them. But one of the things, Deb, is yours is really based in a lot of stories, a lot of secrets from other people. And I know you had a little game that you said we could play today.
Oh, yes. This is literally my favorite parlor trick. And so this book is based on, and it actually came out of conversations with Brenda because we both had pet peeves about, the things that we like that make our day, our week more successful, or things that we like to happen and things we don't like to happen in order to be more productive. And out of that came this concept of the secret to success is there is no one secret. So I reached out to 60 achievers in business, tech, entertainment, food, creative fields, all of the things, and said, okay, what is your secret? And most of these people I interviewed, less than a dozen were via email. The rest of these were conversations. And it goes through, and I've had people literally read the book straight through. But the more fun way to do it is to turn to a page and say, universe, what do I need to know today? So my parlor trick is, and I'm going to let you do the magic today, is I'm going to flip. And when
Ooh,
you say stop, we're going to stop. Are you ready?
wait, who gets to say stop?
You do.
Oh, all right. All
Okay,
right.
ready?
Okay. Stop.
Okay. We got on. Worrying is a waste of time.
Oh, yay.
Now, I say these are like tarot cards or the oracle. You interpret as you were, but as you will, but come on. And so this is from my friend Jeff Beholver, who's one of the pioneers in internet land. He does Von Conference back in the day, 140 Conference. And actually, he was part of the book proposal because I knew that he would have something
Wow.
really interesting and valuable. But everything in this book is common sense. But this is exactly what we're talking about leading into the conversation. If you worry, that's what you spend all of your time doing. Instead, if you decide what you need to accomplish and take action to accomplish it, that is what you get. And this is in the well-being chapter, actually. And I was very, so many of these tips could go into more than one section, but the ones for well-being, it was the seek a harmony, not balance. Worrying is a waste of time. Remove the roadblocks. All of the ones in this chapter are designed to help you get out of your head
Yeah.
and get that clarity so you can do all of the other things. Can we do one more?
Of course.
Okay, Risa, do you want to yell stop this time?
Sure. Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah. Stop.
What? Are you sure? Did I
Yeah.
stop too soon? Okay, so this one, add your personality and spin at the end of the communications chapter, which is literally what you just said, Sherry, about me and Risa being similar, but
Yes.
totally different.
Yeah.
And this one came from Jeffrey Eisner, whose his website is Press Your Luck Cooking. And I had been like a fangirl of him forever because I am a former non-cook who now a host of food podcast, among other things. And he was actually pitched to me for my food podcast. And I'm like, great. I've been trying to get him on my show for years. By the way, I'm writing this book. Would he be open to an interview? And this was, Brenda, this was the one that came in the beginning of August. Remember, I said I got some really good people came in last minute?
Mm-hmm.
He was one of them. But this is the essence of everything, not just what we're doing. And I love that this is the one that Risa landed on because the personality, the spin, we both love goals, hence the topic. But mine is from my background is project management and communications. Hers is the therapist background. Our approach is different, but our end goal of what we do is to have people live the life they deserve and desire. And you use it using whatever. So and I tell this to my book clients all the time. It's like whatever your topic is, whatever your expertise is, love it, own it, embrace it. It's the you that's going to sell your book. It's how much you love what you do. And we're in a room of authors, so I'm expecting more nodding here, people. But that's really what differentiates people is their approach to all the things that they do, and that is a way to set yourself apart as you are on your goal path.
Oh, you got a little doot from the universe there.
Oh, did I? No, that's not. I feel like we should do one more and let Brenda yell stop.
Okay.
And then we could go, because I feel like, yes. Okay.
Okay,
We'll see if Brenda lands on her own.
Okay.
Wait, before you do that, I just want to have everyone, if you have some questions, right after we do this will be the time we'll open it up and people can ask questions. So be thinking of those while we're doing our third magical oracle reading.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready. Now.
Okay. Commit to conversations.
Heart wisdom.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah.
So this is with Larry Levine, who does the Selling from the Heart podcast. And he was, I have to tell the backstory before we talk. He's the reason I got to Guy Kawasaki. So I interviewed my friend Bryn Tillman, and I said, okay, Bryn, who else needs to be in the book? Bryn is the first one in the networking chapter. And she said, and then I said, oh, by the way, I need to get to Guy Kawasaki. I really want him in my book. And she said, well, you should interview Larry anyway, but he just had Guy on his podcast. So after you interview him, he made the intro. I heard back within a day from his assistant, and we got them in. So, but it is an example of committing to conversations. And in this part, Larry is talking about how you need to be consistent in your outreach, that you need to have a certain number of conversations every day with current clients, prospects, deeper conversations with the people you already know. And really ties into one thing I say all the time, which is you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. The more people in your world, the more people in your tribe, because their tribe is your tribe. So I love that Brenda picked this one. A little close to hers is in the leadership and teamwork section, so a little bit further down in the book. But this is it. It's like, okay, I'm hitting a snag. What do I need to do today? Let's see what the achievers have to recommend.
I love that. And I love that you actually demonstrated that for us, right? Like, what a great thing. Actually, one of my questions that I was going to ask that I feel like you've just answered is like, gosh, what happens when we're feeling stuck? like I don't
Mm.
know what to do next. And I feel like what you're just talking about just flipping through the book and letting ourselves be informed by the magic of whatever secret comes at us at that moment.
One thing that I think is super important, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Risa does this as well, is I take the advice of everything I tell other people to do.
Yeah.
So if I'm like uh, usually if I'm torn of what to do next, I hear my mom's voice in my head that says go clean something. So I'll do that, and then I'll go and okay, I've got, clarity grounded. What does the book tell me I should do next? Right? Or whenever I start a new project, I put it by the Deb method. What is the mission? Explore my options. How am I going to get it out in the world? Brainstorm my path. The list. It's all about getting the stuff out of your head and onto the page. So basically, what you do, the first thing I think you need to do when you get stuck is remember why you are doing the thing.
Yeah.
What is the big goal? What am I working toward? What is the mission or motto? Okay, what do I need to do to get there? Then you can pick up the book and say, okay, what does the book say I should do next? So whatever, but the whole premise is the secret is there is no one secret. Do one thing. If it works for you, do it over and over again. If it does not jive with you, try it. If it doesn't work, never do it again. Or say, no, go to another page. It is adventure at its finest.
I like what you're saying because there is a certain element of flexibility that is necessary just to work on any goals. I think sometimes people get really rigid with their goals, like they make the goals too hard, they try to do them in too short a time frame, and then they talk to themselves in a really rigid and harsh way.
Wow.
Like, oh, I didn't do that, I didn't meet that milestone, I didn't do that, oh, I'm a failure, I might as well give up, or all this stuff. Or they even in just discussing goals with them, they'll get into such a harsh way of talking that they wouldn't talk to another person. Like if they were talking to their friend about the goal, they'd be a lot easier and gentler and kinder and say, well, give yourself some credit. You did a lot this week. You took that little step. You opened up that document and looked at it. That's great. We talk to ourselves in two different ways, I find. And usually there's this very nice voice that we reserve for other people, and this very mean, harsh voice we reserve for ourselves. So I think a good starting point, if you're feeling stuck, is to just develop a mindful awareness of how am I talking to myself about this thing I need to do? And could I be a little kinder to myself? Could I go a little gentler? I'm obviously feeling like this is a very hard thing for me to do. And if something is hard, I need to go extra gentle. I think we do the opposite. It sounds very common sensey, but we do the exact opposite. Something is feeling hard, and then we double down on being really mean and harsh to ourselves. And that's the number one way to shut down any progress. So I always say, criticism will stop you in your tracks. If you're being self-critical, it's going to shut it down. That's the number one way I see people sliding in to procrastination and getting stuck there. So we just go really gentle, really easy. I always look for, and I'm sure Deb does this too, what is the easiest, most baby sounding step we could take, and then make it even easier. Make it sound so ridiculously easy that it's almost impossible not to do it because it sounds that easy. So an example might be if you're stuck writing your next book. I would tell you in session, for next session, all I want you to do is open up a Word doc, type the title, and then close the Word doc. You're not allowed to actually type anything other than the title or your name. Just put your name on a page.
Yes.
And you know what's funny? People are contrarian. People are naturally going to do the opposite of that. The lower you set the bar, then they'll come back to session and be like, well, I showed you, I wrote 5 pages. You told me to write the title page. I wrote 5. I'm like, well, hey, we tricked your brain. Good job. But even if they don't, even if all they did was type the title, good job. You did it. You still win.
I love that so much. I love that. I always think too, in terms of setting a timer for a minute.
Exactly.
Because
make it so easy.
So much of it, you're right. It's our brains are just keeping us from stepping into something. I love that. I want to open it up and see. We've got some beautiful people here. And anyone have any questions for Risa or Deborah about goals? Oh, Loretta. Oh, Brenda, let me see. Loretta posted something and then we'll go to Brenda. Thanks, Loretta. Good to see you. Loretta says, how do you choose which path when you have way too many you want to do? How do you let go of many and choose one? That is a great question, Loretta. Thank you. I think that's such a common issue people have. And so, whichever Risa, Deborah, jump in and then we'll go to the other one.
I have a really good tool. Is it okay if I jump in?
Oh, go first. That's fine.
Okay. So I have a tool called the 3-track system in Get Stuff Done Without the Stress. I call it goal mapping. I work with lots of people who have so many goals. They're like so talented and they're doing a bazillion things. They're doing a million creative projects, household projects. There's all these categories. And I think a lot of times goal setting books are only addressing like our one big life goal, right? And I don't like, as a woman and a mom and somebody who's always doing a million things, I think we need to look at our life holistically and sort of make a bunch of different tracks. So I limit people to 3 goals at a time. And even that's hard sometimes, but you're just going to draw 3 vertical tracks. And each of those tracks can be called whatever you want. It could be like household goal, creative goal, writing, work, whatever. But we're sticking to 3 over the course of the next, let's say, 3 months or 6 months. And the way I see these tracks are like you're on different trains and you're going to be moving those trains from station to station, right? And sometimes your train is going to get stuck. Like, as you guys know, you're authors. There's often stuck points or points where you're waiting for like a really long time for someone to give you feedback or get back to you. In which case, I would say you intentionally switch over to a different track you're working on and then say, well, that train's stuck at that station. How can I move train number 2 over a little bit? And one of my tracks is always called self-care because I think it's really important that well-being be one of your main goals, if not your main top goal. So when all my goals feel stuck, I work on self-care stuff. And for self-care for me is bringing my stress down, actively doing things to bring my stress down. And that can be a number of things. It's different for everybody, but it could be like going for daily walks, connecting with my friends, like getting out in nature, right? So this way we achieve kind of like a balance, a holistic balance that we're not getting like mono-focused on one goal or the other. We're actively doing that flexibility where we're switching and saying some things are out of my control, but I can always work on things that are within my control across these 3 different areas. So I hope that helps, Loretta. What I would do for you if you have multiple goals is kind of draw out the tracks and then start writing out what the little steps are for you on each track. And then every week you're kind of looking at it from like, I call it a helicopter view, where you're saying, which track am I going to pick today to move forward like one little tiny step, if that makes sense.
Risa, let me ask you a follow-up question, then we'll go to Deb. Do you suggest, let's say I'm projecting onto Loretta some of my own stuff, but let's say she's got, 25 big goals in her head. Do you suggest that those all get written down somewhere?
Yeah.
And then choosing the 3 from those?
Yeah, it's about filtering it down. So you do a big grand brain dump. Yeah. And if I tell you then you can only pick like 3 to 5 of those, and 5 is pushing it for the next 3 months, what it does is it whittles it down. I call it like a goal funnel, and makes you choose which one of those is timely or important to do sooner rather than later. And then there is this flexibility where every few months we do like a regrouping and redrawing our goals to make sure that we still want to work on the same ones going forward, or do we want to swap stuff out? Again, it's about not getting too rigid and stuck, and learning that, our energies, our responsibilities are going to keep changing. So every few months we have to like do a regrouping where we reevaluate. Do I want to keep putting my energy on this track, or do I want to swap it out for something else?
Love it. I love it. How about you, Deb? What do you want to say to that?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how much yes and I can do. So Your goal guide goes to the Deb method, but if you are looking in 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, in Appendix B, I basically distilled down the Deb method, which is, again, it's determine your mission, explore your options, brainstorm your path. So everything goes to what is my mission? What is my motto? Which is like the 3 to 5 word phrase. That is your North Star. When figuring out what to do next, I've got a process I call directed journaling. So I basically call it's the duct tape of decision making. So whether you're trying to figure out your goals or solve a problem or decide between two things, and the idea, and again, it is writing and brainstorming based. What you want to do is schedule 3, 4, 5, 15-minute appointments with yourself, during which time you're just going to answer a very simple question or focus series of questions. And it can be, what's next? Or what is my next goal? Or what is my next project? And to do that 3, 4, 5 times, don't read it. And then after you've completed the process, go through, read it through once, and then read it through it again with either a highlighter or a notebook, and you want to find the common themes. So something you thought you might have been really interested in, you only mentioned twice, whereas something that was like in the back of your brain that you normally don't think about, you wrote about a lot every single time. The things that you are that you are getting the most energy from, those are the things to pay attention to. It is your brain saying, pick me, choose me, love me. So that is a way to get all of the ideas out. I do alpha and beta rather than the 3 tracks. I always believe that you should have 2 projects in progress at all times, but I'm a little bit different. I like the grid of 3, so to have 3 long-term, 3 long-term and short-term personal goals, and 3 long-term and short-term professional goals going at one time. But it's basically the short-term lead up to the long-term, so maybe it's 3 and 3. But you do want multiple things, because if you get stuck, you absolutely want other things that you can work on for that thing that makes you happy and keeps you focused and moving forward.
Love it. I love it, love it, love it. Brenda, you had something you wanted to bring in.
Yeah, I had a question for each of our lovely esteemed authors, but I wanted to start with Risa. Risa, I know that like you get invited to Silicon Valley to talk to people at Google and tech people that are, so they must be the most stressed out. So I just wanted to know like how, and obviously you're very helpful to them because they keep inviting you back. But what do you think it is about like, your methodology and get stuff done without the stress that is most helpful to these supremely stressed out people?
Well, the stress is everywhere. I mean, I work with healthcare professionals, people in Hollywood, tech people. I'd say they're all vying for most stressed out right now. I mean, like it's everywhere. But thank you. I think a lot of my tools are very practical and they involve a visual element. So I use lots of meters. I use lots of metaphors to get people to picture kind of amorphous things in a really easy to grasp onto way. And for the tech crowd, I think this appeals to them in that they like data. They like collecting data, right? A lot of them do this for a living. They're used to the idea of tracking things in a really scientific way. And so, even when we're working on stress, I'll say, we're going to use a stress scale 1 to 10. 10 is the most stressed out. 1 is the least stressed out. And I just want you to start to notice what the difference is of between 1 and 2, 3 and 4. What does a 6 feel like versus an 8? And just getting people to rate things using the logical side of their brain. It's for things that usually feel very intangible, right? Is a good way to look at kind of the skills I provide. It's the same with goals. Goals are very amorphous. Mostly when people talk about goals, it's really vague. It's kind of out there. They want to do stuff, but they don't have realistic data on how long is this actually going to take me? How many little steps is it going to be till I get to that thing? It's this weird kind of thing they do where they distance themselves from figuring that stuff out and they just keep beating themselves up because they're not figuring it out. So we keep ourselves in a holding pattern. And maybe you guys have experienced this. Someday I'm going to write that novel. Someday I'm going to write, oh, I should really write that novel. I should really, well, how long is the novel going to take you to write? How many pages is it? What is halfway done? What is, 1/4 done? And we get really specific about, okay, well, if you're going to write that novel in a year, where do you have to be in July? How many actual pages do you have to have completed by July? Let's walk it back. How many pages do you have to have completed by March? Let's go back to this week. What does that look like this week? What's the tiniest little step we can take so that in July, when I'm talking to you, we're kind of in that range that you want to hit? And so I like to do things backwards to now, because what that gives people is a better sense of time. When we go now to the future, most of us have a pretty wonky sense of like what that entails or what I can actually do or how much energy do I have. And something about walking someone backwards, even 6 months to now, enlists the logical side of their brain where they start calculating, oh, wow, that's a lot of pages. Oh, wow, now that I'm saying that and I have 2 jobs and 2 kids, how am I possibly going to write 100 pages by next week? And they start kind of adjusting in a more realistic way that I find is really hard to get people to do looking forwards, saying like, oh, well, you really want to write that book in a year? You can do it. I know if I just sit down and focus, I can churn out 3 chapters. Okay, but like, yeah, let's start putting it on paper, like Deb says, and really getting specific about what does this look like, and take away this magical thinking for a minute and get more practical. I mean, I'm a very practical person. I get that it's scary to do, because in getting practical, we're kind of challenging that part of us that maybe wants to stay in procrastination, that maybe wants to keep it amorphous so that we never actually have to start moving towards it. It's a strange dance we're doing sometimes. And that's usually where I hit up on people's resistance of like, do you really want to sit down and put this on paper, or do we want to keep it out here as like this thing, that we don't touch?
Risa, I love what you're saying, because in my own experience too, that amorphous, not putting things down into steps, that's where a lot of the stress is, because
it's a terrible feeling.
It's like, oh, I gotta write this book, but I don't know,
and we're beating ourselves up because we're like,
right?
Why haven't I done that thing? And our brain's like, you didn't program any directions. I don't know the address we're going to.
Yes. So it's like, it's so stressful and we're beating ourselves up, and that makes it more stressful. So I love what you're saying. And I know Brenda had a question for Debra, but I don't know, Brenda, if you're...
Yeah, I can make it quick, and unless somebody else has questions.
Well, you went off camera again, Brenda. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, yeah. Well, you went off camera, so I wasn't sure if you were otherwise occupied. But
Oh, no, I didn't know. Well, hopefully I'm here again.
Yes, here you are.
Thank you, Risa, because it sounds like the 1 through 10, like sort of stress is like getting tech people to quantify. If they quantify it, then if they can measure it, then they can figure it out. So thank you.
That idea of like name it to tame it.
Yeah. So Deb, like I was listening to you talk earlier, and I was you were saying, which is such a good reminder, that like you need to have one big goal, and all of a sudden my mind flooded with retirees, because like in the last probably 4 years, I've worked on 2 or 3 books on retirement. And lots of times, people are coming from hard charging jobs where they have many, many meetings, many, many goals, like many, many to-dos, and like a lot of momentum. And then they retire, and like, what is their one big goal? So I wondered if I actually know that in many cases it's writing a book. So funnily enough, that is what, like, we're going, there's probably going to be a lot of people that were like, very high level professionals that are coming to the San Francisco Writers Conference tomorrow, because they now have that one big goal of writing a book. And I know that you work with those people too. But I wonder, like, what do you do like when with people? How do you Deb, like help people with their goal setting and goal getting when they had big goals, multiple big goals every day, every week, and now they don't?
Well, it's mind frame stuff. One thing that Risa was saying, people they'll like, I'll get to it someday. That needs to be concrete. If someone is not enthusiastic about their goal, they need to really think about whether or not it should be a goal. If you cannot bring yourself to work on something, then maybe it's a not yet. So especially a lot of my book clients, I'll meet someone and I'll give them a homework and I'm like, when you're ready to work on your book proposal, then send me an email, we'll start working together. But until then, and then I will give them a homework to get to that point. So if you're going from the high charge life of everything to, okay, great, I have all this free time, we all know that apparently, when you have a lot of free time, it's hard to do anything because, oh, I have plenty of time to do it later. We'll make it really, goal setting simplified. Really think about what you want to create for yourself. It's important. And again, a little bit of what Risa was saying. What do you want to accomplish? What is the goal? Is the goal to see your book on the bestseller list, or is your goal to see it when you're walking in Costco? I mean, maybe it's both. But think about what's going to bring you joy in this next chapter. And then, okay, great. I want to do this. How do I make a priority? And that when you're busy, you need to look at your life and fit in time to work on your goals. When you're less busy, still look at your life. I did a lot in this pre-pandemic. Did a lot of talking to writers groups where it was this older demographic, and it was like, okay, who's working on a book? Great. Whose family thinks they're not doing anything, and about everybody's hand raised. So it's not just about setting the goal, it's making it a prioritize, making it a priority. Look at your life and schedule the time to work toward it. And then letting the people in your life know this is book time, this is project time, this is I'm going to start a podcast time. But put them as appointments in your calendar. It does not have to be every day. You're retired. Maybe it shouldn't even be every day, but maybe it's 3 times a week. But make that a priority. Set those boundaries for other people, but also for yourself. And if you're not working on it, maybe it's the wrong goal. Go back, deb yourself, determine your mission. What is the life you want to create? What is that mission statement and motto I am working toward? What do I want to do to make it happen? And then rejigger what it is you're working on so it is in alignment with what you want to create for yourself, your legacy, etc.
Wow. That was great. Good questions, Brenda, and really wonderful responses from
I have a
both of
question for
you.
you too, Sherry.
Oh, all right.
We have 3 minutes and it's Valentine's Day right around the corner, and you are the queen of the love list. So, do you want to advise everybody here on like just a teeny tiny little love list to give out for Valentine's Day to somebody that might really need it?
I love it. This is a beautiful goal for everyone to have that you can accomplish in 10 minutes. It's a great goal because you could check it off and get those endorphins. Yes. So to Brenda's point, think about, is there someone in your life who might need a special boost of love for Valentine's Day? Maybe they're divorced or they're grieving. Maybe their kids have moved out of the house or they're just lonely. Think about someone who might need that extra boost of love. And then just think of 3 specific things you love about them, just 3, and make them specific. A lot of us are writers here, so we understand how important the specificity is. Kim, I just love how your work impacts so many people in such a powerful way that it's actually literally saved lives, like specific, and so, yeah, so I challenge everybody to a simple little Valentine's goal, and you can text it. I'm a fan of postal mail. People very seldom get real mail anymore. If you can find a stamp just send something, write it down. You can make an audio note for someone. So thank you, Brenda. Yay.
Thank you.
We love goals and we love books and we love books that save lives. And I especially love all of you who showed up today. Debra and Risa, Brenda, thank you for being our panelists and sharing in so much wisdom. And thank you to everyone else who's here for sharing in the energy of being here. I always say, and it's true, it really matters. Showing up really matters. And maybe that can be one of your goals too. Like maybe I'm going to attend one thing live every week and just be there and share my energy with people because we need it. We need each other. So thank you all. Thank you.
Thank
Did you want to
you.
do a shout out to the next Heart Wisdom?
Yes, February 25th, we are doing journals that save lives. And we have Eric Mizell and Linda, who's here.
Hi, everyone.
Yay. Linda, we can't wait to have you as our featured author on our next one.
Yeah, exciting. I look forward to it. And thanks for this time today, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone. Take
See
good
you on the
care. Thank
25th,
you.
I
Bye-bye.
hope. Bye-bye.